Man, we are halfway through the NHL season, and it's been a good one so far for the Flyers. Have they exceeded expectations? They had a big win last night, but I'm more impressed with the way they played, really since that West Coast trip where they really got beat up out west. And they came home, and I was like, they've got Boston, Washington, Pittsburgh, Tampa Bay, Montreal. They had a tough stretch of games, and they've navigated their way through it. I think Kevin Durso wrote last night that they're 4-1-1 through that stretch of games. Boston is number 1 in the Atlantic. Washington's number 1 in the Metro. Pittsburgh's number 2 in the Metro. Tampa's number 2 in the Atlantic, and they end up 4-1-1 against that crew. The only loss at Montreal game, who's not even a playoff team right now. So let's look at the Flyers at the All-Star break. 50 games in, 27 wins, 17 losses for the Fly Guys, 60 points. They would not be a playoff team if the playoffs were to start today. But Kevin Durso from 97.3 ESPN.com, he joins us now to take a look at this team moving forward. Kevin, what's up, pal?
Hey, Mike, how's it going?
All is well. Now, you see almost every single game, all the home games, 17-4-4 at home, 50 games in. Do you think you are looking at a playoff team?
I do, and I think that's because of their level of play when they play the top teams in the league. You just see how this team rises to the occasion. It was a good way of putting it. James Van Riemsdyk said it to me last night about how they just have a way of rising to the occasion. He called the team. They got a lot of gamers on the team, and he's not wrong. There's guys who step up in big situations. I think you've seen it from several different players. Jake Voracek stands out in my mind as a guy who's done it a lot lately. And, this is just a team that seems to get up for the big games and has really risen to the occasion a lot. So that, to me, is the definition of a playoff team and a team that could make some noise in the playoffs if they were given a series against a team where they really just bring their A game every single night.
How much has that changed since this recent home streak where they've played Boston, Washington, Pittsburgh, Tampa? I know they lost the Tampa game, but kind of, they went toe-to-toe with them on that Saturday night. How much has your opinion changed because of that, or is it formulated over a 50-game span?
It's a little bit of both. I think the 50-game span certainly helps you make a decision on where they are in the standings and the fact that they are in a position to make a playoff run. I think a big thing at the 50-game mark for them is that they're not really chasing the playoff spot. They're right there. They're in a tie for the final playoff spot as opposed to having to go on some big run to try to get back into the picture. But the recent stretch does say a lot to me. I kind of looked at the road trip that they had to start the year and all the struggles they had and looked at this stretch of games, and you start to think that this could be a stretch that kind of does them in for the year. It puts them in that spot of having to chase the season. And instead they come out of it right in the thick of things, and that's the right place for them to be coming out of this All-Star break, to be able to make a run at the playoffs, because they needed to have success during that stretch, and they did. So it's a big deal for them that they are in this position.
Kevin, it's Ryan. It's nice to talk to you, man. If you're doing a All-Star break team awards, who's been the biggest surprise for you? Who's been a disappointment? And who's been the key to the success?
There's several different players that you could go to for surprise. I think Travis Konechny's production has been a bit of a surprise, and not that we probably couldn't see it coming. I mean, he had 2 seasons in a row where he put up 24 goals, but he's really turned in just a year where he's kind of become the catalyst guy. He's just really been the energy guy, and he plays in a top line role too. So he's kind of both of those things. The disappointment, and while he's had a couple strong games lately, James Van Riemsdyk has struggled a lot during the year. He started to put it together lately, but for most of the season, he had stretches where he was just completely invisible, and that you just not what you expect from a guy who typically puts up upwards of 30 goals and is making pretty big money. And then in terms of the guy who really turns out to be a reason for their success, it's kind of a split award in that sense. I'd say goaltending collectively. You've gotten really good performances from Carter Hart. You got a really good performance last night from Brian Elliott, who helped you beat one of the hottest teams in the league in Pittsburgh. And those two guys have really put it all together and not really had many stretches, hold for the road trip, but not had many stretches where they were the problem. So those two guys have been a big deal for them to get into this position as well.
Kevin, the goaltending, obviously, is always the question. Is that stabilized? Do we finally feel that, yes, another reason you think it's a playoff team is because that position is stabilized?
I think so, and I think a big reason for that was answered over the course of the last 4 games. Brian Elliott gets starts against St. Louis. He gets a start against L.A., which is not a top team in the league by any stretch. They're close to the bottom, but a game that you needed to win after you lost to Montreal, and then the game against Pittsburgh. And he turned in 3 really great performances, knowing that he had to be the go-to guy with Carter Hart out with an injury. Carter Hart definitely gives them stability, and when he comes back from the injury, I'm sure he's going to be motivated to pick up where he left off, because he was having really good success in a lot of ways, on home ice in particular. They had a good balance between Hart and Elliott on the road and splitting starts for the two of them, so there wasn't really a guy who was getting overworked. So I do think it's stable. I think it was a big deal that it took until game 4, I think 48 was the game that they had to play a third goaltender for the first time this year, as opposed to they reached 8 last year. So that's just, it's astronomical from a year ago. So it makes a big difference when you have 2 guys who you know you can rely on and stick to for the whole year, and so far they've gotten that.
All right, 50 games in, 60 points, 10 more wins than losses. What does this team need? February 24th, I'm sure Kevin Durso will be on the air with us talking about the trade deadline and what happens, but what do they need to add to this team to make the jump from maybe wild card team to definitive playoff team?
Well, it's going to be hard for them to add from the outside, just given the cap space. So what they really need is not necessarily to go and get anything. They need what they have to be better in certain areas. They've gotten a lot of good things out of a lot of different players. But when you add in, when you factor in guys like Claude Giroux and Jake Voracek and guys like that sitting at between 30 and 35 points for the season, it's not really what you would have expected at the start of the year. And granted, they're winning games with that. They are certainly playing better from a defensive end. They need that defensive stability to hold up like it has for most of the year. That was one of the big keys to the win against Pittsburgh, is that they played a defensively sound game. The Penguins were a little bit off on their play a little bit, some passes off the mark. They weren't able to get those quick chances. It holds the team off the board completely some nights. So they've gotten that stability, and if they can continue that, that will definitely help. But add in a little bit of production from guys who are not Sean Couturier and Travis Konechny, and you can really see this team doing a lot of good things down the stretch.
What about Giroux's play so far, Kevin, and the importance of his play, obviously down the stretch after the All-Star break? I think the narrative around Claude, and you know as well as anyone, has been he's not really the guy that can maybe lead the team through the postseason. He hasn't really had that success to a large degree in his career. So how has his play been on and off the ice?
I think, sure. Well, off the ice, I think he's doing a great job by just being a leader for a lot of new faces on the team and a lot of young guys and helping guide them through. I mean, look, the coaching change has made a world of difference for this team for sure. But I think it's changed the way that Claude Giroux approaches the game too. I think he's got a new outlook on things with coming to the rink and having to play different roles. He's had to be thrown into a lot of situations this year, given some of the injuries. Without Nolan Patrick, there's no other right-handed face-off guy, like right-handed centerman. So he's got to take face-offs more often than not. So he's had to shift over and sort of semi-play center when he was still considered a winger. He's played center in the last 3 or 4 games now. So he's had to kind of bounce all over the place, and that changes your responsibility. So you're going to play a more defensive role. Alain Vigneault's style is to kind of build from the defensive end anyway. So I don't look at the points drop as an overly big concern. You'd like to see him eclipse 60 points for sure, and he's roughly a little under – his pace is a little under that. So you'd like to see him get his second-half surge and be on pace to eclipse that mark. But Travis Konechny had told me earlier in the year after one of the games that they're not looking to get some guy to 100 points this year. It's just a matter of winning the games. So they don't care how many points somebody has at the end of the year, and if that's the way that people want to determine how his season went, they want to get to the playoffs and be comfortable in the playoffs because they've played well and won a lot of games, not because someone scored 100 points.
All right, we'll leave you with this. Nolan Patrick, any hope, feel, and would he be a huge lift for this team?
He definitely would. If there's any hope, I'm not really sure, to be honest. I mean, Chuck Fletcher said recently that he expects him to play this year, but I think he was kind of more or less being hopeful on that account, not really stating something for fact. I think that every day is kind of something different with him. They have to take it day by day to see how he's feeling with the migraine. And he's been skating a lot, but he's never really been in the position where they've been able to say he's ready to practice with the team. He's ready to be a full contact player. And the longer it goes on, you're 50 games into the year, the longer it goes on, the closer you are to just saying he's going to be shut down for the year. So I don't really expect anything out of it at this stage of the season, just because it's going on for so long at this point. If he does happen to come back, even if it's right around, say, the trade deadline, that can kind of serve as your in-season acquisition, a guy who you didn't have for all that time, finally being able to come back. It's another big centerman who can provide some offense, has some good two-way ability as well, and really stabilizes the center position again. So it would be a big addition, but I'm not holding out hope that it will happen this year.
Kevin Durso, Kevin_Durso. Give him a follow there. Of course, read all of his observations and previews and post-game stuff on the Flyers at 973ESPN.com. And they'll have 10 days off, so enjoy the time off, Kevin.
Thanks, guys.
All right,
Appreciate
Kevin Durso, like all guests, appeared via the Boardwalk Honda hotline. And when they come back, we'll have the game for you here on 97.3 ESPN. They take on the Penguins.